Ladies and gentlemen, rise for your judge, Matt. Kenny, rise.
Y'all gonna see dick if I ride. I want to do that. I want to do that to him.
Damn, I knew you weren't wearing pants.
No, I got on gray sweats right now. If I pull this out, we're gonna be viral. This.
Isn't that what we're going for, though?
Hey, we're gonna be famous.
Yeah.
You ready to see some dick?
You can stand up and I can hawk Tua across the screen.
Welcome to this week's episode of Not a Real Court. I am your judge this week, Judge Matt. With me, as always, is the bad guy, Kenny.
Oh, yeah.
And on the other side here is Judge Joe, even though he's not Judge, but Joe.
I go by Jury Joe on these weeks.
Jury Joe. All right. So you have no say in this final thing, but we'll give that to you. It's Jury Joe. Today I am excited because I've been trying to get us to have this debate for a long time. I want to focus on some of the more sophisticated arguments that are out there today, and for today's episode, we're going to tackle one of the more important questions of: is water wet? Oh, I can't wait to find out. On the not wet is Jury Joe, and on the side of the wetness is bad guy Kenny. So we'll start with the jury, please.
All right, so I'm going with water is not wet because things are not wet until they get water on them. It's not the water itself that is wet. It's what touches it is what becomes wet. All right. So your socks, when you get those socks and you step inside of a puddle, they get wet. But that puddle, that's not wet. That lake, not wet. Your girl, not wet.
All right. Okay. I like those arguments.
Sorry, I abruptly stopped there.
That's okay. I didn't know if you wanted to leave Abby on that whole.
No, I said your girl.
All right, but so Kenny, tell me why water is wet.
Because so you said if I want to make sure I understood that. You said if water touches something that makes it wet,
that would become wet. Yes.
So because I don't get so my whole thing is if it's water, why would it not be wet then? Because it is water. That's weird. That's like saying I'm on fire. I'm not hot because I don't know. That won't make sense to me.
But the fire is not on fire.
Fire is not on. I don't. It would be on fire because it's fire.
That is an incredible point that I never thought of.
The fire is not on fire. The substance is on fire.
So I'm not black. I got black on me. Is what you're saying? I'm like, what you mean, bro? That's what I'm saying. I'm like, that don't make sense. I got black on me. Like,
no. That's different.
How's it different?
I mean,
genetics.
No, actually, you do have black on you. We're all just people, man. You got the black on you. I got the white on me. The very.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, that don't make sense to me. Like, it's black. That's wet. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, I don't.
Two different things, though.
No, it ain't.
Yes, it is. How? So you're saying that an ocean, if you pour water on it, is just getting wetter?
Well, no, because it's already wet. So that's what I'm saying. Like, so I guess
wouldn't it get wetter though if you're adding more water to it?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess they'd be getting wetter then.
Good backtrack.
Yeah, I'm like, no, because I'm like, yeah, it'd be getting wetter then because you're adding water to it. It's already wet.
It's not already wet.
It is.
No,
it is.
The ocean floor is what's wet. The rocks in there are what's wet. The fish are wet. The seaweed is wet.
So I don't know. I don't get how, because it has to be submerged in it. That's the only way it can be wet.
It doesn't have to be submerged in it.
Well, that's what you just said.
You could take a paper towel and touch it to some water. Now that's wet.
But then it'd be submerged in it at that point, because at that point it hit that water, and that water was wet to get it wet.
Right. So the substance would become wet, but the water would not be wet.
But
It's
that's like
it's the thing that it touches that gets wet.
But the actual water is wet. That's the thing. I'm like, that don't make the actual water is wet because it has to touch that in order to be wet. And
So
that water is wet, so it comes with that.
So then you're saying water has to touch water in order for it to be wet.
But it is water. That's the thing. It's already water. That's why I bring it back to what I was saying.
It's already water. It's not wet water.
No, because it's already water.
Ah! He said it's not wet.
No, I'm saying that's already water. That's what I'm saying. So that's wet already.
I'm gonna twist your tongue until you fucking agree with me.
No, because I'm like, no, that's what I just said. I'm saying that's wet. So if anything comes in contact with it, that's also wet.
But it would also get wet from like condensation.
What?
Things can get wet from, so it doesn't have to be submerged. The water just has to touch it.
Wait, you threw me with the condensation. What does that have to do with anything?
So like, let's say it's a cold day and you get like the window condensation. The window is then wet, but it's not submerged in water.
But that's not water. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's not water. Water already is wet because it's water. Water is wet.
Condensation is water.
Yeah, condensation is water. That you're confusing the fuck out of me now. Things can get wet from besides water.
Like dew, like the morning dew makes everything
like
wet.
Like my daughter's birthday, I dropped the gallons of high C or Hawaiian.
But that has water. But I'm saying, but this stuff has water in it. Like all this stuff we're talking about has water in it. These living organisms, they all have water in it.
So you're saying you're wet right now?
On the inside, I guess. I'm saying the inside I am.
That's what I heard.
On the inside I am, yeah. If we gonna do that, yeah.
Because
at that point, if you're gonna do it like that, that means you have to dry something too in order to be. In order to wait.
Yeah. You're right.
Yeah.
If something's wet, you'd have to dry it.
I think that's 3 times he's got himself in this argument.
Me?
No, Kenny.
You 3 times what?
I'm pretty sure that's like the 3rd time you've like had to backtrack or something on there to correct whatever.
No, because I'm like, that don't make, because what he said, like, that don't make sense to me. I'm like, if you're just because it's submerged doesn't mean it's wet when it already has water in it. So that means it's water.
Well, how is the water getting wet?
The water is the thing making it wet because it's water. Water's already wet.
But so you're saying water has to touch water to make it wet?
That's like, wait, what's that again?
You're saying water has to touch water for it to become wet?
Everything has water in it.
Not everything.
What doesn't?
Well, not
my door.
I was gonna say my nose didn't just become wet because I touched it.
I'm saying the fact that like I said, the living organisms, like I brought up before, that has water in it. You talking about plants? You talking about people? They have water in it. All that stuff comes from that. And you're talking about condensation because that's to start somewhere, and that's what does it.
My window does not have water in it.
The glass particles do.
I'm gonna need you to cite your sources.
Okay, wait. One second.
I don't know if glass has water in it. That'd be silly.
Yes, glass can contain water, but the amount varies depending on the type of glass.
God damn it.
Everything has water in it.
Steel, however, does not contain water.
But steel can get wet.
Okay. Because what hit it?
Water.
Which is wet.
not wet water. It was just normal water.
So how can it make it wet if it's not wet itself?
No. No. So
you just said that. You just wait. If it's not wet itself,
it has to become wet by the water particles.
But the water is coming with the water's wet, ain't it? The water's coming there to make it wet. If we're gonna do that,
the water is not already wet. The water is its own thing.
It is.
The water is its own thing. When it touches things, those things become wet.
Yeah, but when the water's already the way it is, it's wet. That's like saying, "Oh, I'm hot," and then you touch me. Oh, you are hot. Like it's the same thing.
No.
All right. So I've heard a lot of good arguments. I feel like, and I'm very torn on this because I don't know the right answer. So I was wanting to see if I could be convinced one way or another. But can I get closing arguments? Can I get one closing argument from each of you before I make my final decision?
Yeah. He's saying that the fucking wind touching the wind is getting windier. He's saying that the fire is on fire. He's saying that the water is wet. No. You're fucking wrong, bitch.
Kenny?
I have nothing else to say. I have nothing
He's got nothing because he's fucking
no,
wrong.
because I'm like, because it was like, oh, if you pour more liquid in a liquid, does it make it a liquid? Like that's what it sounds like to me. And I'm like, no, it's wet. Like it's all that is wet because it's all it's all wet.
I'm just saying you're saying that it has to be water to water, then makes the water wet. That doesn't make any sense to me. The water is
saying it's already wet.
It's not.
Because if you come in contact with something that's wet, you wet too.
Oh man! All right. So after listening to the arguments, solely based on what I've heard, God, I can't believe I have to do this. I have to go with the jury on it. There were some great, I feel like, arguments made. The fire one still blew my mind. That's a great one because the fire is not on fire. Fire's hot. That's a little bit of how I think I would have turned that a little bit. But Kenny, you lost me on like everything being wet because I think especially at that point then, like to the idea of getting dry, I would need to take a towel to dry myself off. But if the towel is made of water, then why wouldn't it?
I'm not saying it's 100% made of water, no, but there is water in it. That's what I'm saying. There is water in it. But I'm saying that the fact that you have water and that water that's wet already touches something that's wet, that doesn't make it, oh, that doesn't, it's not wet. Like, no, that's wet. It started off wet, and that's why you wet now, because it's wet.
What? I get it, but I understand that side of the argument of if you're by touching that water, that's what's made you wet. Then it's the act of touching it. It's not just it.
So when these teenage kids out here and they nutting themselves, and they have we don't call it, I guess, a wet dream, because no water touched it.
But there's a substance that's making it wet.
There was something else touching it.
His nut made it wet. It's nut.
And that nut is made of water. Nut is made of water.
Yeah, exactly. Everything got water in it.
All right, so final decision though. Water is not wet. Water is not wet. And
oh wait, that was me. I was like,
that
what?
was you. That was.
Yeah,
I was like, what the fuck?
He was complaining. I was like, go ahead.
Thank you.
And so, as judge of this episode, since this is my court and I get my way, Jury Joe, why don't you go ahead and sign us off?
All right. You can find all of our shows at t13media.com. Rate, review, follow us on YouTube, subscribe to everything. TikTok's blowing up. Fucking join it.